Hello! In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about getting a job in data science as a beginner. And first off, I assume you probably know what data science is, but I just want to start off, redefining it a little bit. It's a really broad definition. Essentially, it's just any use of science with data. It could be analyzing data, it could be predicting on data. It's really just anything with data. People use it pretty loosely, so it's best to focus on what the actual job postings are. You may find your dream role as a data analyst or a data engineer, not a data scientist. So I just wanted to put that out there. And second up, why listen to me? I've worked in data science before. This is my Upwork profile below, and I've had some success in finding jobs and clients. I'm just sharing my perspective. There's plenty of data scientists out there, and I would implore you to, try to find out their perspective as well, because it's a very, very broad field. And as you look to data science or trying to get a job, you probably don't feel like you have all the skills that you need yet. So I just wanted to put a little bit of a roadmap out there, what I would recommend to new people to data science, what I would do if I was trying to get a job. So first off, just think about why you like data science, and then look at job postings. I'm going to try to walk through a few here today so I can show you what I think about of the roles and how I sort of read between the lines based on my experience. And that's probably the most beneficial. As you look through roles, think about what the company hiring you is thinking. What do they want? Is that what you want to be? Is that attainable for you? Or maybe you got to find a different job first. And then from there, it's all about building projects and showing you can do the skills that people want. The best part about coding is everyone publishes their projects, and you can really get quick started a lot faster than other fields. From that, communicating your results is very important in data science, especially. Software engineer, you can sort of get away just being a software engineer and focusing on talking to your peers. But in data science, you have to be used to talking to people who might not know, what a mean is, what's an average or a median. Someone might not even know that, and you have to convince them with data and also do an ethical, good job about it. Also, I'll mention Kaggle a little bit later. If you haven't heard of that, it's a great way to improve your modeling skills. But, this is it. It's pretty simple, about 8 things. I'll sort of rehash it again later. But that's sort of what you got to do. Show you can do data science and focus on what type of data science you can actually get hired doing. And then you'll be very, very hireable. So let's just take a look at the Amazon job board. I pulled this up a little bit earlier. I just searched data science, I think, or I Googled it and then came up with this. And there's a few job postings I wanted to go through. So the first one is the senior data scientist as a physical stores BI. That means business intelligence, if you're not familiar with that acronym. And first off, I like to look at the qualifications, because I found companies can be a little bit strict on these. Not always, it's worth a shot, but it's better to focus on companies who at least meet the basic ones, maybe not all the preferred. But you should meet probably most of these. Maybe you don't have 5 years of experience, but this one is asking for a bachelor's degree, but not a master's, so that's pretty cool. But they do want 4 years experience as a data scientist. So that's not the best for a beginner. I'll have the next one's a little bit better. But I just wanted to call out in this one, this seems to be talking about a customer-focused, analytically and technically skilled data scientist. And it's all about, let's see here, designing experiments and trying to help them improve their stores. So this type of role as a data scientist isn't one where you need to be the best at modeling, from my understanding. And I've got links in the PowerPoint you can look at later too. But this is the type of role where they want you to sort of, translate, like they say right here, business questions into things that can be answered using data. And it doesn't sound like it's something they want you to, really do the best, the last, I like to talk about 80-20 solutions. So you might spend 20% of the work building 80% of the solution. Then that last 20% is really hard. You need a specialist. This one doesn't look like a very specialist role. You can even see, they're not talking about too specialized of skills here in their basic qualifications compared to other job postings. So this would be a good sort of second job for someone in data science who has already been doing it for a while, maybe wants to get more experience and start to specialize, but not a beginner thing. Also, designing experiments, that's an interesting niche in data science. Most people focus on testing things that have already happened, but when you design an experiment, it's sort of a different mindset and a different skill set. So someone with a psychology background who does, experiments all the time might be pretty well suited to this. Maybe economics, could be another good one. But yeah. So here's another job posting. Data scientist 2. It's confusing because, is that a senior? Is that not? What's the deal with these namings? I don't know. Amazon's a big company. But this one was kind of interesting because if you look at the basic qualifications, it doesn't even mention a bachelor's degree. And I found that kind of unique. Most jobs do require that, not in coding though, because they just care about what you can do. And you can see just, can you turn a complex problem into a simple solution? And then you may need to travel. So only 10% though, that's not too bad. And yeah, when I looked at this role, the big thing it looked like is you're trying to help people staff their Amazon workforce, probably distribution centers, going around the country, convincing people in those job centers to hire people and what they should be doing differently to improve Amazon as a whole. So if you look at this, read these a little bit, you can see that there's not too much specific. It doesn't sound like a very specific type of background they're looking for, but just someone who can learn and solve things and then communicate that to people. So you can see influence key business decisions to proactively optimize labor plans, etc. And then looking down below, another big thing they're calling out here, articulate communicator. Can you, translate raw language into things people can understand? So that's very important. And that's in this job, it's a little bit more important than the last one we looked at here. Still important, but this says business owners. This one says plain language insights. So if your background is dealing with more, people who aren't as maybe college educated or have a less STEM background, that could be very good for this role. And it's kind of great they don't require an actual bachelor's degree too. So this would be a great one for a beginner, and the pay is pretty high, 120 essentially US dollars in Colorado, and it said virtual is okay. So yeah, that's a cool one. And then there's this last one I wanted to show you. So this data scientist, it's not even a data scientist 2, but it's probably the most advanced out of all the jobs that we're going to look at here on Amazon. So if you look at this, one thing that really stands out is work with data engineers and software development engineers. So that tells me they're looking for someone who is very specialized in understanding and is going to use other people to handle the other things that aren't as analytical backed. So they want you to be efficient with your specialty. They probably want someone with a very deep knowledge background. And of course, in this case, basic qualification has a master's degree. And again, data scientist, not data scientist 2, just data scientist. They want a master's degree required. And this is also a little bit more, they want someone who's just going to be able to jump right in with their finance or accounting data scientist role. Also, writing papers, that's another niche. Not every data scientist needs to do that. You can just do blog posts, but in this case, they want someone who's probably more research focused, has some experience, not as much experience as the other ones too, but they want someone who has a little bit of a higher analytical background. Maybe they're doing more important problems or more risky problems for the business. And that's why this one is a little bit more important. So yeah, as you can kind of see, all these jobs have a similar background. They're all data science, but it turns out the data scientist without senior was the most advanced. And I hope this gives you a good idea of the job market. This is just, Amazon. Different companies will sort of be like this. It's not as common for one company to have all these different needs. Another great resource is Upwork. That's where I do a lot of data science myself. And what I like to do is, apply to jobs. This one interested me, I guess about 5 months ago when it was posted. And then I never applied, but if you're ever curious who got hired or if the client even hired someone, you can go back and you can see what happened. So here's the job posting. I can see the client, they hired 50% of their jobs, not the biggest spend. And then there's sort of the blurb. So we're a growing startup focusing on a different angle of consumer credit reporting. We have access to transactional banking data, yada, yada. Not trying to replicate what Equifax, Experian do, but we want to focus on different metrics. This is a startup. It might turn into recurring work down the road, but they're not looking for someone that experienced. This is pretty low pay for a US, you can see it's US only here, data scientist. but it's still a good job that could be, a good beginner's job. If you could show them that you've done this before or work with similar data sets, they would probably hire you. And sure enough, you can see 2 people were hired on this job. If we look through their client history on jobs, here's the one for this job, you can see there's the freelancer listed. So we can see Chase J was hired, did a lot of hours, and it looks like James C was hired but given up on after just an hour and a third. So lower pay, and they actually hired the higher paying person. So it's not all about a race to the bottom in freelancing. They even pay a product manager higher than their data scientist, curiously enough. So here we go. You can just sort of see the person's background, see what they do, and see if that's what you want to do. These people have more of a beginner profile, and that's something that maybe is a little easier to step right into if you're a beginner in this field. So this person says they did bookkeeping. That's sort of a more entry-level accounting type of role, and sort of moving into modeling and analysis. So as they get more experience in jobs like this one that they're doing is a pretty good one for them. They can use that to get better data science jobs. Maybe that's something you could aspire to as well. James C has a little bit of a more exciting profile, but maybe he got too busy or he's actually not as good as the profile suggests. I'm not sure, but it's kind of interesting to look at this. He's also a PhD. Chase J, let's see here, only a bachelor's degree too. And is a little bit younger. So it's kind of interesting to see who gets hired and what works out. But other jobs, you can see people who are charging, $300 an hour, and then look at their jobs. You can see as they got better, what things, you can look them up outside the platform, see what their portfolio or their LinkedIn is. It's all interesting to, learn more about who gets the jobs. And it's one thing I really like about Upwork compared to Amazon or any other company that just hires normally, because you're never going to know if Amazon ever hires for this position. You'll apply, you'll wait 3 months, maybe you never hear back, and you don't know if that's you. You don't know who got the job. It's hard to find the people on LinkedIn who are working on this team either. So it's hard to get good feedback. But with something like Upwork, you can really train yourself a lot faster. All right. So that's that. I'll take a quick breath here. Yeah, I found this stuff on Upwork very, very helpful. I just had a spreadsheet of all the jobs I didn't get, and then I sort of learned what niche I wanted and how to become what I needed to become. But sort of as you become a data scientist, it's a very broad field. You should really focus on a couple problems, maybe 1 or 2 of these on this list, and then maybe learn about one of these industries below, because that really helps you become more employable. They use different technologies. Each of these companies, finance company or SaaS company, very different technologies used. One might actually use SaaS. One might use open source stuff. Very different. Also, time series forecasting and computer vision, totally different things. No one would be expected to be great at both. It might be, but they're very niche things, and if you really like one or the other, you should focus on that. Time series forecasting is probably more statistical and more more advanced background needed, but there's sub niches within everything. Just sort of my experience there. But yeah, just focus on something would be a recommendation. So focus on a broad problem and maybe get really good at that, then try a couple others and then apply to jobs where it's clear they're looking for someone to help with fraud. That could be a finance company, for example. Okay, but you do have to focus on what jobs to do, but then you also need to be able to handle a complete project most of the time, especially as a beginner. It wasn't until we saw that fintech role, or the most advanced data science one, where they wanted you to work with other people to sort of help you out, and you would be more analytical. But in general, as a beginner, you should be able to be unsupervised. So what I sort of view as a full data science project is, what's the problem, identifying problems too, maybe no one told you the problem, then doing, turning it into computer speak. The Amazon job postings mentioned that exactly. Then developing solution, that's a huge sort of black hole. It's, it can be anything from your niche. Maybe in time series forecasting, you try a simple autoregressive model, and then you do some more advanced things with some seasonality or some state-of-the-art cutting-edge research. So you sort of figure out what needs to be done, what's customary for your niche, and being sort of abreast of the current developments. Then after that, every model you need to make sure it works. A lot of times results are too good to true, and that's because they are. So you have to be good at understanding that. And then after that, can you use the model? That's another big thing. You might have to create a quick API. That can be a good skill to have as a data scientist. Use like Fast API or Flask. And then finally, communication. That's sort of core to every single data science role. Can you talk to people? Can you present? Can you defend your ideas? And sort of be like a researcher. So that's sort of what I have to say about data science. I'd also recommend you look at what data science hiring managers look at. And Kaggle has this great series on YouTube I would recommend you look at. So we won't go too much into this, but I would recommend you look at it later. Lots of videos, and you could even see hiring managers commenting, and it's really cool. One thing they stress, or I watch this too, and they stress projects. Can you do things? And yeah, that's the most important in computer science and data science. Can you do the job? And you can show that through portfolio pieces. So Kaggle, I didn't talk much about, but if you're not familiar, it's a place where you can compete against other people on standardized data science problems. So it's not one where you're sort of defining the problem. You're given a problem, and it's your job to be the best. So one of them is March Madness. I competed in this one. I didn't do that hot here, but it's cool because you can see the people who win and they post about it. And you can see, am I a good data scientist, or am I kind of weak in this area? And this is a way you can check your sort of creds and either gain some confidence, learn some better things, or humble yourself too and take a look in the mirror at what you need to do better. So here's me. I was sort of middle in the road. I was better than random guessing. This is log law, so I think it's like 0.67 or 0.69 is random guessing, kind of 50-50. But the goal was to predict who would win in a given matchup in March Madness. And if you look at the forum, you can sort of see here we go, First Place Magic explained. You could read about it and then learn the different techniques people use to win their bracket. So really cool stuff, but it's not, it's more of something to do when you know how to do data science or you're just starting, but it's not, complete. You're not doing a full project. A lot of the hard stuff, getting the data, learning what to focus on or what your scoring function should be is more important. And Kaggle does that all for you. So it's better for the optimization piece, that one block here, develop solution. And someone who's really good at Kaggle would be best suited to that most advanced data science posting, the one where you needed a master's degree. Now, it's still important, it's still very useful, but I would just stress focus on your own projects. Here's one I did. It frankly wasn't that great, but all I did was I tried to test if it was a cold day in Chicago and the next day was very warm, if homicides went up. And that's something a lot of people in Chicago think. When it gets really warm out for a day and everyone goes out and shoots each other, that's sort of the speak or what people say, I guess. And I wanted to test that because, is that true? It sounds like it could be true, more people outside. But when I actually looked at it deeper, I didn't see the homicides going up. I saw warm weather definitely help, but it being cold the day before didn't make a big difference. And being able to talk about, why I chose this problem, what I chose to analyze, and what I came up with was great for my early career talking about jobs. Here's the repository. It's not that good. 7 years ago. Doesn't even work completely, but people asked me about it. I was able to pull data from Chicago, merge it against weather data. That's sort of incomplete, but I did do it, and I did talk to people about it, and I think I had a blog post like long time ago about it. But yeah, that was great for me getting a job, being able to talk about something. Because hiring managers want to know what you can do. They want to talk to you about something you know very well so they can find that out. They sort of want you to succeed. They want to hire you, but it's hard for them to know how good you are if you don't do things like you would do at the job. So that's a great way to show your skills. Anyways, good luck. It's a hard field to get into. There's lots of careers you could use or do doing data, working with computers. I'd recommend reading more about it on Reddit. and then just searching people's blog posts. Also, once you start doing data science, it can be, it's not this magic. I used to be more into it when I was first starting, but you sort of find some roles or some jobs people sort of want you to confirm what they already agree with, and that's not as fun. So you think you need all this data to do a decision, but sometimes it's too much work. People want the simple answer. So, it's hard to, it's not the coolest thing in the world, but it's still very cool. And it's a great entry job. I would recommend to a lot of people as a career too. But learn more about it. Hope this helped you, and good luck.